SimsEclaire here and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are starting on the Willow Creek portion of my save file. So for those of you who are new here or have just subscribed to me or are coming to my channel for the first time, welcome. I'm happy to have you here. And we are currently working on a save file where I am going to rebuild every single world in The Sims 4. Now obviously this is going to take quite a bit of time. We have already finished rebuilding Oasis Springs. It was part of a modern development project in my head led by Joffrey Landgrab, and he basically was trying to turn it into a modern Oasis area for basically like wealthy people. So that was kind of the idea behind what Oasis Springs was going to be. I will link the playlist in the description down below as well as somewhere on the screen, so if you guys have not seen me do that, you can go ahead and click on that and watch all of those videos. But today is the first home in Willow Creek, and Willow Creek in my head is the classic suburban neighborhood. So you can see the city skyline from the area of Willow Creek. There's a whole bunch of water access and canals and garden areas and lush green, you know, parky type things. And so I imagine this being a very, very family friendly neighborhood. A lot of like large families lived here. It was the place where, you know, all the schools probably were, if we had schools in The Sims 4, which if we end up getting them before I finish my save file, I will place them in Willow Creek, just so you guys know, because there have been some rumors that maybe that might be a thing. But I figured we should start with the Pancakes house. So as you guys can probably tell, this is not the same lot that the Pancakes house was on initially. I did change it. I think it's in the same neighborhood if I remember correctly. It's just like the lot across the street or something. But in my save file, Bob and Eliza are divorced. So when you first get The Sims 4 and you load up the game, Eliza and Bob are not happily married. It's a very unhappy relationship. Eliza is materialistic and she wants to be a mansion baron and she's a little snooty. Bob is kind of lazy. He is in the chef career. I don't really know that much about Bob besides the fact that he's kind of lazy and he's a chef. So in my save file, basically Bob had like this one-off, really well-written cookbook, and he got super famous super quickly. He got a whole bunch of money and kind of stopped caring about his family, which was super awful considering Eliza was pregnant at the time. So Eliza and him got into fights all the time, accusing him of not caring about her, about not caring about their family. He was always out on the road for this book, he was always at work, you know, stuff like that. So they ended up getting a divorce like right before Eliza gave birth, and they now have really hurt sentiments about each other because of that. Eliza is like super mad at him, Bob is super hurt that she filed for the divorce, but they have gone their separate ways. Bob is now living in Oasis Springs in the apartment building that I created, and he's living with his new girlfriend. And Eliza is here, and she's kind of starting to find herself a little bit while parenting their daughter, Natalie. So I did create a little short video that went up on my channel on Saturday. That was the Create a Sim for Eliza and Natalie, completely base game, just like this house. This house is base game, if you guys didn't read the title. I want to keep the Townies homes and the Townies makeovers completely base game. Nothing in my save file will have CC at all, but there are going to be non-base game houses and characters and stuff like that the more we get into the other packs being involved and the other worlds being involved. But that is the basic storyline for Eliza now and her daughter Natalie. Natalie's a bit of a charmer. She's a super fun kid. She really likes to be outside. So Eliza has started to kind of, you know, be outside, be a little bit more creative. She started to garden. I do end up giving them some garden plots. When you first load up your Sims game with Eliza and Bob, there is an art easel in the home, and it's kind of like made you to believe, or you're made to believe, that Eliza wants to do art and she's a little bit on the creative side, but she doesn't have the time for it, or she never got into it. So I did decide that I was going to change that, and she now has, when you download my save, she'll have, I think, the level 5 of the painting skill. and she's going to start selling her artwork for money, and that's how she's going to try and pay for the house. Now obviously Bob does give child support because he is a little bit on the wealthier side because of his book, so she'll have help from him, and then she'll have her own career. And I'm thinking about maybe she'll meet some friends in this circle and maybe discover that her and Bob didn't work out for some other reasons other than the fact that he just wasn't a great guy. But yeah, so now we are on to the backyard. I know I kind of gave the story and like talked over the shape of the house, but it's a very basic suburban house. Like I said, I did think that this neighborhood was going to be classic suburbia. So it has a nice front porch, a little side porch reaching over to this back area over here. I decided to do a little something different with the patio. I wanted to use these stepping stones so that we could create some more texture, and it was also a lot cheaper. I didn't want this home to be super expensive because it is a base game only, and I wanted it to kind of resemble a starter home. It is not a starter home. I think the total budget came somewhere around like 50,000 simoleons, which is not bad considering the fact that I wasn't actually paying that much attention. But I did try and use a lot of debug items and stuff to keep the price down, just so it was a little bit easier to download. And now on the inside of the house, as I said earlier, this house is completely base game. So a lot of the objects I used are from the new base game update, the one from the birthday pack or the birthday update, because I really like those objects. I think that they kind of modernized the base game a little bit more, because a lot of the original stuff from the first ship of the game are like super traditional and kind of old-timey looking, so I think it kind of just brings the base game up towards more modern times. And then over here is the kitchen. The layout of this home is a little weird. The kitchen, you can obviously tell it's all in one open space, but the kitchen is kind of blocked off by these half walls. I've been really feeling using the half walls recently because I never used to use them, but now that we have platforms and we have all these different heights and stuff, it's a lot easier to place them around the house. So I've been trying to kind of change up my floor plans, make things a little different than how I usually do them, and implement some more textures and wall heights. And I initially was going to do actual platforms in this build, but I thought that it was a little weird having just platforms in one spot of the house and nowhere else, so I decided just to leave them out. But I will be trying to play with platforms a little bit more. But right now I'm just cluttering up the kitchen. Like I said, I thought she was probably discovering a little bit more of herself, so she has actually increased her cooking skill quite a bit. She's been cooking for her and her daughter, so she does all these like nice homey recipes like mac and cheeses and grilled cheeses and pastas, and I think she's probably become quite good at them. So I did want her kitchen to kind of reflect that she's been spending a lot of time in here trying to take care of herself and Natalie. And then over here is going to be the living area. It's very basic. I do place a couple of kid clutter items in here because I definitely thought that with how small this home is, they probably spent a lot of time out here as a family, her and Natalie and maybe some of Eliza's other friends. And if Bob ever came over, then they definitely would spend the time out here and not in the private bedrooms. So I definitely thought that there'd be quite a few kids items around here and quite a few different clutter items, and the house maybe wouldn't be necessarily super clean, although Eliza is a clean sim, so she definitely keeps her home pretty neat and tidy. I was having an issue with that while I was trying to take the screenshots. Dust kept showing up because I do have the Dust the Bust enabled in this save for right now, but after this scenario I'm probably going to get rid of it. And she kept getting frustrated while I was trying to set up their story because all the dust was around, so it was a little frustrating. But as you can see right now, I am adding some of those toddler things I talked about. I'm putting a little bunny stuffed animal on the chair, a little lunchbox on the table. I figured maybe if they went to the park on some days, she would bring lunches for Natalie, or if they like went to the museum or something, or they had to go shopping, or maybe if Eliza was doing some work and they had a babysitter, there was lunches. I don't know, but I definitely thought that she would be packing her cute little lunches, and especially as she gets older too, in terms of like becoming a kid and going to school and everything. But then I'm adding a rug just to kind of complete the space a little bit. I thought that it looked a little bare, especially considering how cluttered up the kitchen area ended up being. I thought that this space needed a little bit more. And then going over here, we are in the one bathroom in this home. It is quite a large bathroom though, so I don't think you'll have any issues. I did give them a bathtub because Natalie is still a toddler, which means they need a bathtub to bathe the toddler. And then over here I'm just doing some simple decorations on the counter, very basic bathroom stuff, you know, the toilet paper holder, the towel and the mirror, and then some other towels and like soaps and stuff. I do add a toddler potty in here and it is functional. I did play a little bit around with the bathroom. The tub and shower is completely functional. The bathroom, or the toilet, and the toddler potty are all functional as well. And then in here is going to be Natalie's room. So I'm really feeling this penguin wallpaper, because for the longest time I didn't know that this wallpaper actually had penguins on it. I thought it was just another iteration of that dinosaur wallpaper that we have, because for some reason the Sims team really enjoyed dinosaurs when they were coming up with the base game kids decorations. But when I finally discovered that it was penguins, I thought that it was the cutest thing ever, so I decided to use this in blue. And it's kind of like a blue and white, so since the base game furniture comes, like the main swatch is this blue and white swatch, I wanted to kind of play off of that with this wallpaper. And then I did end up using this giant wardrobe from the base game update. I initially was going to try and use the matching furniture from base game, but I couldn't get it to fit in the way that I wanted it to, because I wanted this chair to be here, because I figured Eliza would probably read to Natalie, or they would spend time in here working on some different activities and stuff. So I definitely wanted there to be a chair for Eliza to sit in. But now we are in Eliza's bedroom, and I did add an art easel. Like I said, I definitely thought she was getting more into art and the creative side of things. I initially was going to give her a woodworking table, because in her biography on Sims Wikipedia it says that their initial house has a sculpting table, but I don't know what a sculpting table is, and I figured that it would be the woodworking table. But then I decided I really didn't want to go that route. I wanted her to be more of like an artist, and maybe if you guys have eco lifestyle, you could get her into like candle making or something like that. But in terms of base game purposes, I decided to stick with just the art easel, and then also a computer in case she wanted to write or do something like that. And then over here is another wardrobe, and then like a simple chair to do a nice little dressing area for her. And then I add some end tables, kind of as like a last thought. I think I forgot about side tables, and then I was like, oh wait, there's nothing over here on the sides of the bed. I do add some decorations only on one half. I thought that that kind of symbolized how her and Bob were now divorced. He probably slept on the other side of the bed, but now he isn't there. But besides that, that is it for this build, so I hope you all enjoyed this one. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and be sure to stay tuned for the rest of me rebuilding Willow Creek and the rest of the worlds in The Sims 4. I hope to see you all next time. Bye! Thank you.